Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. The Saints lose last night in LA 30-22, and on its face, you would look at that final score and you would say, well, they went on the road, they played a good team, and they came up a score short. And you'd be right in saying that. You could suggest that the Saints had a lot of toughness and fight, and they came back, and you'd be right for saying that too. But none of that's important. What's important is that this team is not good enough to compete at the highest level in the NFL. They have proven that routinely over the last 2 years, and changes have to be made. Have to. The decision-making is poor. The preparation is poor. The execution is poor. From the top down in the organization, everything is poor. And at times it gets camouflaged against atrocious teams, and we'll talk about that. But when you play the teams that function at a high level in the NFL, you get beat. I thought the decision-making from Dennis Allen last night was atrocious. On the opening drive, Derek Carr takes a sack, which you can't take on that 3rd and 7, and knocks you back to the 37-yard line. And I truly believe this. Truly believe this. I don't believe this is hyperbole at all. The Saints have the only head coach kicker combination in the entire NFL that would have passed on a 55-yard field goal attempt inside in the first quarter. That is a green light special for 31 teams in the NFL, not the Saints, who punted it away from the 37 freaking yard line and let the Rams go 95 yards right down their throat for a touchdown. And then you fast forward 2 quarters, and at the end of the first half, they do go for a 4th and 5 with 56 seconds to go, which was probably a time to try to punt because you gave the Rams a short field because you didn't convert, and they go right down the field 58 yards in 5 plays for a touchdown. Both decisions I thought awful. And that's been this Dennis Allen era. Bad decisions and a bunch of losses. Look at the teams that this New Orleans Saints team has played. It's a joke. I'll go to the AFC, the top of the AFC. The Ravens are 11-3. The Saints play them? No. Miami's 10-4. Saints play them? No. Kansas City's 9-5. Saints play them? No. Cleveland's 9-5. The Saints play them? No. You've got to go down to Jacksonville at 8-6 in the AFC to find a team that the Saints have played. None of the top 4. Go to the top of the NFC. San Francisco's 11-3. Saints play them? No. Dallas is 10-4. Saints play them? No. Detroit's 10-4. You did play them. Philadelphia's 10-4. Didn't play them. And the Rams are now 8-7, and you played them. 3. If you go to the top 5 teams in each conference, that's 10 teams, you've played 3 of them. Oh, and how'd those games go? Well, against the Rams, you got down 30-7. That's a team that's prepared and ready to go. Against Detroit, you got down 24-7 in your home building. And against Jacksonville, you got down 24-9. So the 3 times you actually did play teams that function at all, you were 3 scores down immediately. Look at the wins the Saints have this year. Tennessee, they're 5-9. Carolina, 2-12. New England, 3-11. You beat Indianapolis with their backup quarterback, 8-6. You beat the Bears, they're 5-9. And you beat the Giants, who are also 5-9. The combined record of the teams the Saints have beaten this year is 28-56. And what do these teams generally have in common? Tennessee, they're in the AFC South, in last. Carolina, NFC South, in last. New England, AFC East, in last. Chicago, NFC North, in last. 28-56 is their combined record. Dennis Allen has to go. He's terrible. There is no case to be made for keeping him around with the New Orleans Saints. We have a 2-year sample size. His head coaching career is 22-45 over 2 stops. He got handed a schedule on a silver platter and threw up all over it. Every single time the Saints play a team with a pulse, they get dusted. They are feasting on the dregs of the league. The teams they are beating are more focused on Caleb Williams and Drake May and Jaden Daniels than playing the Saints. It's pathetic, and it's week after week after week. There is no possible way that Gail Benson and Dennis Lauscha and Mickey Loomis can look at this body of work and have any other reaction than to say you're toast. In fact, I'll welcome a guest onto the show, Red Bellew. He's the head coach of the Louisiana Cougars. Tough loss in the Bourbon Bowl. He's got a message for Dennis Allen.
You're fired!
Get rid of this guy. It's comical. They're going to lose in Tampa next week because the Buccaneers have won 3 in a row and are a reasonably functional team, which means they're going to beat you. And then the Superdome is going to be empty in 2 weeks when Atlanta comes in Week 18, and that will be the swan song here. We've tried to paint this thing as mildly interesting. We've tried to continue to look at the NFC South standings. We've tried to stay engaged with this team and with this franchise. But the fact of the matter is there is way too much evidence at this point to think anything other than this franchise with this era of players is toast. And it doesn't get camouflaged because you beat Tommy Cutlets. It doesn't get camouflaged because you picked Bryce Young off. It doesn't get camouflaged because you won a low-scoring fight against Ryan Tannehill back in Week 1 who got benched. It's a big picture thing. And this week after week after week. Dennis Allen will be picked up within the week as a defensive coordinator when he is ultimately let go of. But he cannot be a head coach. It is a failed experiment. It was a reasonable thing to do to try to keep some sense of continuity and organizational structure. You had a great run, the greatest in the history of the franchise. You've got a lot of those pieces still there. Let's try to keep this thing on the tracks. It's crashed. Get rid of it. You got to deal with Derek Carr's situation and ride this thing out. But Pete Carmichael, no. Dennis Allen, no. And you look around at that roster, and there are guys that are either going to have to be massive dead money hits or you're just going to have to play out the string. But as I go through the Saints roster, I look at who on the Saints roster has better football in front of him than he does today. You could argue Olave, Brazee. That's probably it. Not Ramczyk, not Kamara, not Michael Thomas, not Derek Carr, not Demario Davis, not Cam Jordan.
Rashid
Shaheed, fine. Carl Granderson, maybe. But it's everybody's on the back end of this thing for the most part, and it's a really sickening place to be in, but there is no way to camouflage it anymore. It is what it is. The salary cap situation stinks, the roster's old, the coach sucks, and it's a disaster. And last night had to be the final straw. It had to be. You could look at the final score and say, oh, 30-22. You're within a score on the road. That's just, a tough loss. Dude, it was 30-7. They were non-competitive for the meat of this game. I'm not going to let more Derek Carr garbage time touchdown throws camouflage that. It doesn't camouflage the fact that you were down by 15 points to Jacksonville in the first half. The fact that Detroit came in and just humiliated you for 2 quarters. Just because you can beat last-place teams is not going to camouflage the state of this organization. And last night should have been the final nail that finished it. And I can't imagine a conversation going any other way between the brass of the Saints at the executive level. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.